Okay, thank you, Julie. I would like to say Happy New Year, everyone. It has been 1 year since we started our webinars here in Oman, and we are looking forward actually to reach our target in number of audience, not only in HSC field, but inshallah in all fields such as business and technology and insurance. Last year, we focused mostly in safety webinars and so on, but in this year, we would like to take over and talk about safety, insurance, technology, the goals of IIRSM actually. And also in 2022, our goal was to reach people of Muscat, but in this year we will do our level best to reach to other governors here in Oman, such as in Nizwa, Salala, and so on. We are already working through that through our support here at Samara Institute and IIRSM. We are looking forward to have all our members, and without you, we can't do this. But thank you all for your support and being side by side with me. And yeah, and today, inshallah, we will talk about risk normalization by Mr. Mubarak Al-Dawoodi. He's a leader actually in the HSC, and because of that, I choose him to give us or to start the year with him because he's one of the people who have knowledge and experience in HSC, and because of that, I chose him to give us a small experience and share it with us. So yeah, I think we can start if you are ready, Mr. Mubarak.
Yeah, all set.
Okay, thank you.
Am I okay?
Yes, you are.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year. Good evening from Oman. I believe some of you are not from Oman. I don't know where is most, where is less. Today, we're going to talk about risk normalization. My name is Mubarak Dawoodi. Some people, they pronounce it Mubarak Dawoodi. Some pronounce it Mubarak Dawoodi. So you're free as long as you can call me Mubarak. That will be enough. Let's go quickly through some of these scenes, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, and you've seen somewhere either the same or something looks like this. This is a daily scene in some organizations and some jobs across the street, everywhere you go. People just, turn, look at them, and they go. It's like nothing wrong with them. It's a quick, short 1 minute, video, which I believe most of you have seen somewhere. I don't think we need to comment on that. It speaks for itself. Some of us sometimes act like seeing it for the first time. No, most of us have seen this or seen something similar to this in many organizations, in many yards. Yeah, good opportunity to jump there and find a safe place. I don't know where is the safe place. But again, this has a lot of things. So many people just look at it. Maybe they fire the foreman, they fire the supervisor, and that's as much as some management do. They don't do much of.
An apple a day keeps the
Sorry,
doctor
I'm
away.
trying to turn this off.
You know what keeps that unpleasant
Okay, risk normalization. You've seen, hello, am I still there?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your presentation.
Thank you. I've seen the camera box has disappeared. Sorry, excuse my first time online and the technical issue I'm facing at the moment. Risk normalization, actually, okay, it's written there, it's on the screen, we all can read. It's simply as it's gradual. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't walk out of a workplace in the evening and you walk in the next morning and you see something different. No, it's the same. It's happening gradually in a way that some practices, some risk and danger practices became acceptable. It's okay. It's fine. We are okay. It's been there for a while. Nothing happened. We make then that takes us to a stage where we make conscious decision to accept risks. It's whether it's at management level, at teams level, at individual levels, we reach a stage where we make decision to accept those risks. We get used to it. We get used to this risk because we got used to them. And then workplace safeguards are routinely bypassed in front of the eyes of management, team leaders, supervisors, and nothing happened. Nobody turned an eye or turn a cheek or say anything about it. Risk taking then became the standard. And that's the most dangerous thing about risk normalization, where you reach a stage where risk taking become the standard. Science. Now, somebody may, oh, okay, I've been living in a very safe place and I want to know what really risk normalization is. What's the sign of it? Simply when you walk into a place, a workplace, to know if there is risk normalization or there isn't, first you will notice there is no adequate health and safety resources in the workplace. Plus, regular occurrence of incidents. There is an incident every now and then, every day, every 2 days, every week, and people, you know, they are just get used to it. And the incident investigation show two things: it's either poor behavior or lack or inadequate resources. Then these are signs of risk normalization. Poor checks. It's a tick box. Have you done the checks? Have you texted that machine? Have you checked that, new playground or whatever the facility is? Yes, sir. Say it's done, and you just tick the box. Services and maintenance are really poor. Maybe you choose a very cheap service provider. Can't complain, can't report culture. Nobody dare to say, no, I can't do that job. Or seen something unsafe and go and report it. Like now, this is not, I know most of us will now say, oh, that's not us, that's not in my place. It possibly is. Just as a leader, go and check it. Lack of understanding of basic safe work procedure. Just walk across any worker or any member of staff and ask him, like, you know, what about this and that? And say, oh, I have no idea. I heard them some days, they were talking about this, but I have no clue what it means. So there is no understanding of the basic safe work procedures. Poor responsibilities and accountabilities. Before I go any step, I would like to stop at the responsibilities or accountabilities. There's a lot to talk about it, but simply when you look at your organization hierarchy, and that's very, very important. Normally, assigning responsibilities goes from top to down. So the arrow is pointing down because the guy on top assign responsibility to his team members or his subordinates, etc. So it goes down, down, down. At the same moment, the further the responsibilities go down, the further the accountability goes up. So the more you delegate, the more you give responsibility to others, the more accountable you are. So that's what you got to see. Are still management and leaders accountable for whatever the team members do or the results of their behavior? This is simply, you can see it in different shape, you can form it yourself, but this is generally what a risk-taking culture would look like, where the risk normalization lives. This is where it lives. Now, what causes that? How can an organization reach a stage of risk normalization? Well, it's an idea in some organization, and probably somewhere around you can go and visit some organizations, workplaces around. It's not a risk as long as it hasn't caused an incident. So a sign of a risk to somebody is only when it becomes a direct cause of an incident. Yeah, that's it. Other than that, it's not a risk. They don't see it. But then how long until the next incident happen, and then they become to believe this is real risk? Deadlines, get the job done. Yes, we got to find a way. We got to find a way, no matter what, to get the job done. That's one of the causes that lead to risk normalization. Every day we've been doing that, so it's okay. It's okay. The boss is in a hurry. Let's do it. Dilemma. We're going to talk about this in the next slide, inshallah, what dilemma means. And then pressure of cost reduction. Probably a poor worker down there, down the street, digging, doing something, doesn't realize this, but it's at top management or probably at the middle management where, all right, we got through to reduce costs, prices are gone how, market is difficult, blah, blah. So we got to cost reduction. The easiest two areas, unfortunately, most of organizations run to when they suffer from high costs and they want to reduce it, is HSE and training. Let's get off training and let's unnecessary HSE resources. We don't need them. Nothing happened for the last so and so years. So there you go. You face yourself with either insufficient or inadequate resources for HSE because of cost reduction. Poor companies, safe culture. Safe culture. Yeah, safety culture. We're going to see that in a moment, and we're going to see what is a safe culture and what is the poor and the good safety culture in that. Complacency. Actually, in some societies and some even in English, risk normalization and complacencies are the same. So complacency causes risk normalization, or risk normalization causes complacency. They are one thing, but the end, this all together reach or push organization into this situation. Dilemma. It's a difficult choice when someone being in a dilemma. Let's look at this. Just walking across in a yard in your workplace or anywhere else, or coming down the stairs, and you see, let's say, down the stair there was a little step, and or maybe the smoke detector or any other thing that doesn't look right, and then you want to report it, but you feel like, maybe it'll be very stupid of me to report some silly things like this. Or maybe it's already been reported. Definitely somebody has reported it, so I don't need to bother. As you walk in as a senior person or as a leader, and you don't do anything about it, and many people around also walk, they look at you and they didn't report it. Nobody else reported it. They don't report it. Nobody reports it, and it stays there. Now, why we get ourselves into a dilemma? As we said earlier, maybe you think it's silly, or maybe somebody reported it, or maybe I'm in a hurry for the meeting, boss will be upset if I go and report it now, etc. Again, it's another case of a dilemma where you don't know which way you go. Do you report it or you don't report it? Do you do it or you don't do it? This is where people still get the easy choice not to, and then everybody takes after, and the culture of the company don't have reported. Last time I've seen it, they didn't report it, etc. Now, before we go into risk normalization, let's just stop at the risk management lifestyle, and we see where the risk normalization really make it difficult for risk management. A person or a team are responsible for risk management. Actually, we know that the life cycle, it starts with identifying, assessing, treating, monitoring, and then reporting. Yeah, you may see slightly different names in different references or different organizations, but it's all the same. To me, risk normalization actually, it hits mostly at the risk identification step. And then, of course, it has some impact on the assessment stage, where if you do them right, you do the risk management process completely right. If, for example, risk normalization will prevent you from identifying most of the risks at your workplace. So what's the point in making risk management where you skip most of the risk? Because why? They're okay. They are accepted. After all these years, nothing happened. And that's the risk normalization. Assessment, of course. Sometimes you find the risk and you say, and then goes the dilemma. And if the dilemma becomes part of the assessment stage where you go, okay, yeah, is it really a risk? But then what happens if, really, I don't think, this will happen. So it's okay. You go to your boss and ask him, actually, boss, and the boss see a chance not to spend money to control that risk. So he said, I agree. Okay, just take it off. Take it off your list or your risk register. Okay, if you are facing risk normalization, what you do? Of course, it's regular review of health and safety risk management. And most organizations, they have done everything perfect when they started, and then all these documents were left or either on shelves or in drawers somewhere or in a folder in one of the PCs, and anybody has visited them. Do we have risk management document? Of course, sir, yes. But there has never been regular reviews because risks, they just come up. I don't think it's only those risks how you did in the first place. They come up. Even some controls, when you decide some controls for that risk, that itself creates some other risks maybe. So you got to always visit that. Maybe those controls are not working anymore. So the regular review of health and safety risk management is one of the solutions to discover if there has been a risk normalization. It's just people walking by where it says authorized personnel only, no admission, and then the door is left open all the time. What kind of control that, especially if it's in a kitchen? Everybody can walk in. Different team do the risk identification each review, and that's good, because what I've seen last year when you send me to do the same in the same place, a risk identification, definitely that old list is in the back of my mind, and I will just naturally, I'll just walk to where I thought, or I still remember the risk were, and I'll skip a lot. So please, every time you review your risk management documents, go and send somebody different to identify the risk. The best thing, and that has been happening in an organization I used to work with, every time we do a risk identification, we call it a safety walk, actually. So it'll be, let's say today we go into transportation department. So there will be somebody from the department, somebody from a different department, like maybe marketing, or maybe production or operation, or etc. And somebody also from different department as per availability. And then the HSE guy as an advisor. So that multi-sectional teams go across different teams, that will give more chance to spot risks and identify them, rather than the same people who live in the same place go and do their own risk identification. Every audit, and that's a healthy practice, that's a good practice. Every audit, a section for risk identification should be there. Every time an audit team go into audit, add risk identification. They will spot many risks that we didn't see. Actually, my last job before I retired, I was working in one of the best organizations in Oman in health and safety records, if it wasn't the best, actually. I mean, they have reached 35 million man-hours without LTI. And they decided to challenge themselves, further. So they stopped the clock and they started from zero. And now I heard they are back to 11 million man-hours. And when I was there and we were at that situation, I am one of the people who believe we are the best. We have no risks whatsoever. But that management decided, okay, let's call somebody actually from outside Oman to come and have a look. So the guy came, I think 2 guys, yeah, came, and they took 2 days to walk around. I was shocked for the number of risks they saw that we never realized they were there. We didn't know. Simple as that. And some of them, I personally, were walking by almost every day. But then seeing them every day and nobody reporting and nothing happened, all these together make them okay. They're normal. They're okay. We're fine. So yes, hundreds and hundreds of risks were there, and we were really, really shocked. We've been doing all this. Okay, we're lucky. Not really. We did a lot of good work, but still, those risks were there, and one of them was enough to cause a disaster after all these good records of health and safety. Number 5, as we said, external specialists, like we did. They will see a lot better and a lot more than we do. Not just because they are specialists, because they are external, they are outsider, an outsider eye. Adequate health and safety resources in number of, the number of HSE resources required, like PPEs, are enough and a good quality as per the specification, as per the standard. Stop and safe work. There isn't a person assigned in any organization to stop and safe action and safe conditions. No one. Don't think the HSE team responsibility is to work as a police for health and safety. No, it's not their job. Their job is to support you technically with advices, with training, etc. But they are not to go there and walk about looking for risks. Your risk in your workplace, it's your responsibilities. So every time you walk and you see a dangerous or a risky, whether behavior or risky situation, stop it, intervene. And I believe most of you understand the word intervention or intervene. Intervene means stop the work, advise the guy, check why the problem is, and then ask for help, maybe his boss, and ask him what it is. But the most important is to stop it. Unless this are done, you cannot start this work. Then after it's done on site or it's done physically, you go and report it. Of course, for risk normalization don't live in where there is a health and safety good leadership, and of course health and safety culture. You won't see them. So that's what you need to build up. You need to build up the role or the leadership role in health and safety in your organization. And of course, by default, you will be creating a health and safety culture. Health and safety culture, clear values. You stop anybody across the corridor and say, what's your company's values? 1, 2, 3, 4. Integrity, honesty, good. At least they know there are values and they've been communicated to all members and they know them. That's a safe culture. Sound rules and procedures. Sound means they are known, they are presented, they are well communicated, they are adequate to the work. Yeah, they are adequate to health and safety work. Of course, adequate resources. Enough, good quality, good standard resources. Everything we need is there in place. Ownership. When people feel it's theirs, you feel the ownership toward the organization you work for, and you feel if something goes wrong in the organization, that is part of you. You're part of that, and it's part of you. It's the sense of ownership, and then it follows by, of course, loyalty, etc. Communication. Just watch out how people communicate. When a company need to put a notice in the old days, of course, even now with the technology. Dear staff, management wish to announce so-and-so, 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 and it's in English. And they put it in the, the notice board, and that's it. And what else? Have you got the message across? Have you really communicated what you wanted to communicate it? Maybe not. Do all the people in your organization speak English? They can read English? Maybe not. Okay, what language? What languages? What other languages do you need to put it on? So you put it in as many spoken and written languages in your organization. Plus, what if there are illiterate people? Okay, we have some illiterate people who speak Arabic, but they cannot read the notice on the board because they are illiterate. They cannot read and write. So how do you reach to those? So what I'm saying is a safe culture will have to also look at communications, and that communication goes and reach everybody. And there is one more step that is needed. Have they understood the message? How do you know? So there is a feedback. You need to go there and check. Oh, you have your own tools, your own means. Have they got the message? Have they understood exactly what I wanted them to understand? And that's, I can say, it's well communicated. We have a perfect communication workplace. Strong leadership. And leadership is mixed with management. You have a good management, but good management is never enough without a strong leadership. And leadership is not a position. Unfortunately, most people look at leadership at the top and they say, oh, we have good leaders. We have the general manager, CEO, GGM, our finance manager, our operation manager. These are managements. These are positions. Leaderships, totally different. Yes, it's side by side with management. It's a role. It's additional skills. And you can see it in every single person in your organization. Maybe the watchman, the guard, the guy at the gate, security guard needs some leadership skills. The tea boy, the guy who make your tea, they have, or they need, if they don't have, some leadership. So leadership is a package of skills and roles in every single position. Once that's there, makes you can be 100% sure risk normalization will not exist. Before you go, I want you to take note of these questions and be honest with you. I don't need an answer now. You can simply put them down tonight when you go back home or to the hotel. I don't know where you are now, probably back to the coffee shop. Answer these questions. What risk have you normalized? Don't tell me you didn't. I did. We all did. Because it's okay, nothing happened. Why spending time doing this, following this procedure? Why spending money to having this, a fire extinguisher? Nothing happened. It's been hanging there on the wall for years. So have we, or have you, normalized any risks? Put them down. Can you think of, for example, specific examples, and that will be done to yourself. You don't need to report it to anybody, whether at home, whether at work, whether when you go shopping, to the mall, everywhere. You drive on the road, when you go on picnic. Then ask yourself, would you allow someone you really love to take the same risk? Oh no. Then why you take it yourself? If you see risk normalization by others, would you intervene? Would you, come in, stop the work, stop the activity that's going on there? Would you do? What reaction do you expect if you do that? If you just come across somebody, let's say somebody doing a welding and he doesn't have his special glasses, PPE glasses on, and he's going on with welding activity, would you stop him? And if you do, what do you expect back from him? Just write it down. Now, what will you do differently? If you realize that, yes, I've been doing this, yes, that nobody with you, you're alone. What would you do from now on with regard to risk normalization, whether the one you do them or the one you see them in your workplace or at home or everywhere you go? This is simply and briefly what my risk normalization presentation was. And of course, if you have any questions or you have anything I think there is a chat box, Ms. Julie and Ms. Ashwak, if she's there, they are administrating this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Ashwak, I sent you a question across that was in Arabic.
Yeah, I received it, but it's not a question actually.
Oh, okay. Do you have any
Okay.
questions for our speaker today?
Yeah, I would.
There was Arabic speakers. I could have done it in half Arabic, half English. I didn't realize there are people, maybe they have faced some difficulties in English. So.
Yeah, but we are doing it, Mr. Mubarak. Sometimes we have like English supported by Arabic and so on. But at this time we would have English. Mr. Mubarak, sorry. The risk normalization, it's all in all departments, let's say. But in HSC,
Yeah.
health and safety, we talked about the control measures and how we can avoid that. But if we have, sometimes we're having like difficulties in demonstrating people or workers and how to look safety. I always say that you have to have like a Google or wear a glass to see and identify the hazards. In your opinion, Mr. Mubarak, how would we encourage our workers to see the risks and danger and hazard in general?
Good question. Actually, let's forget about health and safety
Okay.
management for a moment, or risk management for a moment,
Yeah.
and talk about leadership, health and safety leadership. We need a leadership. The question you asked about doesn't need a manager or a specialist or an EBOS diploma holder or anybody. It needs a leader. And to be able to convince that guy to put his goggles all the time on, he needs to trust him, build the trust between him and that worker. And that worker has to understand why that this is what we don't have time to do, is to explain to people why this is a mandatory, why this is a must, why you have to have this gloves or goggles or whatever on you when you do the work. It's just a must without telling them why. Nobody dared and say, look, it's not, we know maybe you don't like it, maybe it's not comfortable in the beginning, but again, this is for you. And when I say for you, he has to feel it. Leader first, build up the trust between him and his team. That's the real leader. If not, if it's a must, he will only do it when he's there. And then when whether he's a supervisor, he's a colleague, he's whatever the position name is, once he leaves, it doesn't happen, because it's done because they are scared. Maybe they will be reported and get fired. So we need to build that relationship within the organization for the worker to understand and trust it is for his benefit. It's not because it is to make the boss happy.
Okay. Great. Okay, Mr. Mbarak, we have questions. One of the questions that how we can deal with culture differences in multinational organization to define what is normal and what is not.
Okay, that's a good question, and I worked in many multi organizations, many multi nationalities, many multi. First, you need, and that's difficult. You need to understand other culture. It's your homework. I mean, one of the things you see in CVs and resumes that working in multi nationalities or multi organization, that's an additional skill. It's not easy to deal with different nationality or different culture. If you don't understand it, you have to live with it. Some organization, they do that. So what's acceptable for me, for example, what's acceptable in Oman and okay, no problem, it's not in Japan, it's not in Russia, it's not in Europe, it's not in the States, definitely. But when you bring someone fresh, they need to get adapted to understand the other. There must be one culture. Now, this is the mistake most of organizations do. They select one culture and they adapt all their procedures, all their rules, regulations too, and they forget others. And this is what you have to follow. Now, hold on. This is, you need to create the organization culture. Forget who are they, where are they from, and train them to reach that. It is, for example, XYZ LLC culture. So it's, we need to shift from your culture, my culture, their culture, multicultural. No, there must be a one culture called the XYZ, which is the company name or the workplace name, culture, and all have to adapt to that. If they come from a different culture, there are some strange things for them about it because of their original culture, then they will have to adapt the culture, not the opposite, not the organization adapt to other cultures.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mbarak. We have other question. What information we can share with the team in organization related to safety culture?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything, information. That people cannot live without information. We have this. I don't know. I don't know if it's everywhere, but I've come across it. Where it's okay. This only to be announced to staff. This is a management issue. Okay, if it's confidential, then it's confidential. It's has nothing to do with day-to-day people work. But anything that is required, every piece of information a worker or a team members need must reach them. Everything to me, everything.
Yeah. Sure, because some employees or workers, they don't know actually their system, the organization system, even the system they don't know it. So that also impacts the health
Yeah,
and safety culture.
of course, they don't know.
Yeah,
Why violating? Why people violate rules and regulation? One of the main reasons, they don't know the rules and regulation. They don't know the procedure. They don't know the system. Simply, they
yeah,
don't know. It's written in different language. Maybe it's hidden in the boss drawer or in the boss shelf. It's somewhere in a software in the PC where he has no clue where to reach it. And every time he has to go and ask either a friend of him and they say, oh, maybe, yeah, I guess, yes. I think I've heard them one day saying this and that.
yeah,
That's not a health and safety culture.
totally right. Okay, Mr. Mubarak, how wrong attitude affect the health and safety culture? What do you think?
Wrong?
Wrong
I don't
attitude.
like okay, I don't like the words right and wrong, by the way. And we should stop saying this is the wrong attitude and this is the right. There isn't right or wrong. There is a bad and good.
Okay.
So there is a good attitude and a bad attitude. Of course, attitudes affect behaviors. Attitude. We build attitude. We individuals, we build our own attitudes. And that, of course, has an impact on our behavior, the day-to-day, the way we deal with people, with things, with work, with equipment, with it's a behavior, a day-to-day behavior. Now, your behavior has an impact on others, on other people around you, on their behaviors. Your behavior
Yes.
have, especially if you are at a leadership stage or at a very senior position, people tend to do what they see you doing rather than do what they hear you saying. So your behaviors are very critical. Your attitude, they make your behavior, and your behavior make others' behaviors. So be careful. Be careful with your behaviors. It doesn't matter what you say when you sit online with thousands of people following you online,
Yeah.
saying all this good follow, but then you do next morning you walk into the organization and you do totally different. That what people will tend to do is what they see you doing.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it for the questions. Thank you, Mr. Mubarak. I really appreciate your time and your experience that you shared with us today. Risk normalization is a really large topic. I don't think 45 minutes is
Now,
enough to talk.
that's why you see it. Like, yes, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you first. Thanks to Julie and the rest. I don't see who is around with me at the moment, especially with my very poor IT experience. It's like I'm talking to myself. I'm not used to that. I'm used to walk in front of big audience, stand up, share, look at this, look at that. But it's my new online experience. Thank you very much, and I hope we got something out of this short 30 minutes, inshallah, or so. And yes, we're gonna meet in other sessions, inshallah, as soon as possible.
thank you, Mr. Mubarak. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
just for
Most
me.
welcome. My honor.
Okay, Julie, I have this thing to mention. I will talk in Arabic now.
okay.
بس للجميع حاضرين الشهادات بتوصلكم بالإيميل. شهادات من IIRSM بتوصلكم بالإيميل اللي دخلتوا منه الويبينار. إن شاء الله إذا ما اليوم بيكون إن شاء الله بكرة على نفس التوقيت. واليوتيوب لينك بيكون موجود أيضا في موقع في اليوتيوب، في IIRSM موقعهم في اليوتيوب يعني. وبس حابة أنوه على هذا الشيء، إنه الشهادات توصلكم بالإيميل، ما من يعني تيجوا تستلموها في المعهد. تمام، وإن شاء الله يومكم سعيد، وأتمنى أنكم استمتعتوا معنا. thank you Julie, I'm done.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you very much for your presentation today. Everyone is still here, so it must have been a fantastic presentation.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. Thank you. With your support, I wouldn't make it without you and the network support. It's been a little bit of this in the beginning with this technology. I'm sorry. I'm
don't apologize. Everybody, nearly
you
everybody has trouble. Thank you, everyone, and good evening.
Good evening.
good
Thank
evening
you.
to all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.